In this session, we will talk about presentation techniques. We will briefly discuss about the presentations and how can we prepare the slides, what are the techniques again, and finally we will talk about the principles of public speaking and strategies. Let's overview some facts here. 20% of people remember what they hear, 30% of people remember what they see and read, 50% of people remember what they see and hear, like in a lecture or something, 70% of people remember what they say and write, like taking notes and maybe discussing with a colleague before an exam or before a presentation can be helpful usually, and 90% of people remember what they do. So doing something is best way of learning, in fact. And regarding information presented during a typical 1-hour lecture, but this 1 hour is for face-to-face education. And in these times, during time of pandemic, we cut down the sessions down to half an hour, around that, maybe sometimes 20 minutes for concentration purposes. Even face-to-face, the students retain 70% of the information of the first 10 minutes and only 20% of the information at the last 10 minutes. As you see, it's not very effective just listening things. So they should be if we talk about presentations, they should be as efficient as possible because people can get lost easily. Now, what are the types of presentations? They differ by the medium or by the domain you're doing that. What is the purpose? It can be information delivery, like I do maybe for my maybe if I want to give a presentation about my study areas to my department, maybe it can be information gathering. You can ask for information and at the end of the presentation it's possible. And for instruction purposes, what I do now, this one is, or for persuasion, like in defenses against juries, or if you want to take a project or something, it means that persuasion is important. So the techniques can be important as well. In addition, we can classify presentations along the following scales as well. It depends on the medium. It could be verbal with visual aids, or written. I think I'm trying to do all of them together, like okay, this is the rhythm part, like you can draw something sometimes. I'm also trying to use visual aids as well, like okay. The presence can be in person, transmitted or recorded. Okay, these ones are recorded, but in Q&A sessions we can have in-person communication. And the interaction type can be monologue or dialogue. Okay, if you take questions at the end of the lecture, it means that it's some kind of monologue maybe during the presentation, but then you can consider that it can turn into a dialogue. But of course this one is a monologue now, what we're doing now. The time can be short and long. Okay, I prefer shorter presentations. And the audience can be small and large. The audience would be large on the internet, most probably. And the setting can be informal and formal. I don't think this is formal, so it's rather informal. And the preparation can be scripted or ad hoc, like you just precisely plan what you're going to say. I think my presentations are, although I prepared the slides in advance, but what I say here is mostly ad hoc. And the structure of presentations usually have three main parts. The introduction parts, which motivates the audience to listen to you, contextualization and overview of topics that will be introduced. And the main body discusses the main findings and elaboration. Maybe it can be your thesis proposal seminar or thesis defense seminar. And the conclusion part is commenting on the importance of findings, future work, and summary of your research. For the sake of preparing presentations, we need to determine the objectives of the presentation first. What are we going to do? Are we going to persuade people, or is it for instruction purpose or giving information, whatever? And the analysis of the audience is also important. Okay, who will listen to me? Are they students, or are they professors who are experts in their area, or are they experts from the private sector companies, whatever. And the planning is important for you made a broad plan of the presentation, and organization of the material for effective results. You just make the necessary arrangement, and the preparation of visual aids and handouts if they're available, like maybe you can also add some animations or videos to enhance your presentation. And of course, the last one but not the least, the delivery practice is important. Always practice your presentations before yourself, before even record them and listen to them later, like I do now. So you can make more efficient presentation. You can correct your own mistakes later. The visual aids purpose is important. Why are you doing this? Give structure to a presentation. You can, for the sake of that, you can do it for the sake of that, or provide a point of reference for the speaker and the audience. We often do that. And to help an audience to remember, you can emphasize some critical points, and you can focus the attention of both the audience and the speaker, because visual aids are important, and reinforce. You can do it for reinforcing what has been said. What kind of types can be used? I mean, these are prepared in advance, and they're not changeable at the time of presentation. You cannot, like the video and slide projector, you cannot find them later. You need to set them before. Some of them are created or reproduced during presentation, but they can be changed or updated at the time of presentation, like flip charts or whiteboard. You can use the board. And some of them are for dual use, like an overhead projector, LCD projector, plus computer, interactive whiteboard plus PC. I think the medium I'm using, it may be something somewhat interactive, it can be called. And the slides, are based on a structure. Decide on a structure or theme for your slide in advance, then stick to it before. You decided before. Then consider the following questions. Does the audience know me and my affiliation? If not, you need to emphasize it, spend time on it. How important is it that the audience remembers the title of my presentation? So put it somewhere. How many navigational hints are required so that they can know where they are? How many graphics do I need to include? Can they be placed consistently? So spread all over the presentation. The answers to these questions influence who you should structure your slides. How you should structure your slides depends on your audience as well, who are listening to you. Here you see some structure examples. You can look at them later. They're pretty plain. You can use any type of slides. You see that the title is remaining intact here on this left side column. It's a structure like this. Here you see again the you don't have the author here, but okay. You see another type of, again, slide. This is another structure. These are the structure examples. You can have lots of different structure examples on the internet as well. These are just samples. Okay. The titles here are also important, these ones, because for each title, slide title, summarizes what has been explained on that slide. You should put a title on each slide, unless in very, very rare occurrences. It's something very rare situation. Titles should be short but descriptive. Ideally, titles on consecutive slides should tell a story all by themselves, like they should follow each other. And you should capitalize words consistently. Either always capitalize all words in the title, except for words like A and D, or always only capitalize the first word in the title, subtitle. Okay, let's see what do I do here. See, I only capitalize the first letter here, and let's see if I stick to that. I think I stick to that here, most probably. Okay, or choose the other ones, capitalize everything. Okay, the title of the whole presentation should be capitalized. We're talking about this title here. This one should be all capitalized. And you might want to include it on every slide. I didn't do it here, but as we see in the previous example, it has been included on every slide as possible. It is as wise, especially if you're making a presentation about your paper or research. It could be interesting. And the textual content should be as simple as possible, understandable. Don't put a bulk of text here. A typical slide should contain 20 to 40 words with a maximum of 80. Just judge my own slides here. Do I stick to this rule or something? It is important. Otherwise, it would be boring, okay? And also it would be, it will disrupt the motivation as well, the people listening to you or following your presentation. Do not try to fill all the space. Like, this is not a, painting area that you need to fill. That's not the case. So leave some breathing space, and prefer enumerated or itemized lists over plain text. You see, so put some nice stuff here instead of just writing them directly. Use at most 2 levels of sub-itemizing here, like at most 2 levels, 1, 2, okay, maybe 3, just here maybe. Keep the number of items in a list low. If you're giving a list, keep them low, and highlight the important things, as you can use color for highlighting, for example, or making them a bit larger. But using color could be much more, let's say. So use short sentences as possible, because it makes us understand them better. The longer sentences, like which occupy like 2 or 3 lines, would be cumbersome. Even for, you should prefer this in your publications as well, research papers. You should prefer phrases over complete sentences. Again, they would be smarter and shorter and brief. Break lines where there is a logical pause, so you should give some breaks. Do not hyphenate the words. If you write long, then you need to separate them with this, don't do this at the end of the lines. No need. Use phrases, so no need to do this. Punctuate consistently. There is no need for a punctuation after phrases. Don't do this. Complete punctuation in and after complete sentences. If you're using sentences, then you need to be careful with punctuation. Avoid decreasing font size to make more text fit on a slide. Okay, you want to tell something more here, just making the font size smaller and fitting everything here. No, instead spread it on a few pages, a few more slides. That would make sense. And the fonts. Aim for your text to be legible even under difficult conditions. Okay, the light can be different, the projector beam can be different, maybe the presentation area, the board or the wall, can be different and makes it harder to read for people. So try to choose the text font to be legible, readable, even under difficult conditions. Use as few fonts as possible, preferably only one. Use a sans serif font unless you use a high resolution LCD projector, so it would be more practical. Use monospaced and script fonts only for specific purposes. They can cause trouble. And avoid italics to express emphasis. Use color instead. As you see, it's better to use color for emphasis, or make it a bit larger, or make it bold maybe, but italics is not a good idea. And the color uses, use colors sparsely. I mean, choose a few colors, and avoid bright text on dark background. It would be harder. And you should maximize contrast. Normal text should be black on nearly white background, so it's something I do here. And avoid bright light colors on white background. As you see, if I make a mark here with this, you see, it would be, harder to understand. So, I should prefer darker colors here. That's the idea. And be aware of what we associate with different colors. All of them has some meaning, we will see. And test your presentation on the intended equipment if possible. This is what I tell to my students as well before their presentations. Always go to that room, open the device that you're going to present, and just use the board and start your presentation and see what it looks like. So this is the only way that you can be sure that everything is working fine. Slide colors have some meanings. Red is matched with danger, aggression, passion, stimulating. Purple is like a calming color. Green is again a soothing, trustworthiness, about nature. Blue is restful, peaceful, and relaxing. Yellow corresponds to well-being, and brown is nature again, practicality, and being close-minded. And boring, I didn't know that. Okay, maybe boring, but that's the brief idea about colors. Decide what you want to highlight, okay? Are you going to highlight the keywords, main results, examples, or current focus? And be consistent with your choice throughout the presentation. Which color you want to use for each of these categories should be consistent. Then apply this color scheme consistently. The graphics and animations. Graphics often convey concepts or ideas more effectively than text. We know this. We focus on graphics more. And use graphics as often as possible, which I don't do here now, but normally if it was another maybe I should do it more. Okay. Graphics should only contain as much detail as necessary, just the enough amount of detail. But be careful. Graphics always require explanation. Okay. If you put a graph, then don't leave it there. Please try to explain. Use animations to explain the dynamics of systems and algorithms. It could be useful and interesting, and keep people motivated to listen to you. Do not use animations just for attracting attention. It may fire backward, okay? And do not use distracting special effects like fancy slide transitions. Okay, slides coming here and coming there and flying here and just disappearing like this. No need for this. Try to make them simple. If they're too fancy, again, it would be distracting. And about the stance and movement during the presentation. Be aware where you stand. At the center stage, for example, you can go to sides, but be careful about not obscuring the screen, and don't go in between the projector and the screen. Stand tall. Don't look down. Keep your head up most of the time, and move from stillness to stillness. Walk slowly. Please do. This is also important. Don't rush. Just don't go here and here and here like Speedy Gonzales. It doesn't work. People get distracted anyway. Don't stand still as well. Standing here all the time. It's again, it would be boring and people may sleep. But just do it enough, like walk slowly and stand still at some point, then this point, then this point. It would make sense. For example, like 2 or 3 minutes here, then 5 minutes here, 3 minutes here, or something like this, maybe. And the hands. Use hand gestures to emphasize points where they required, okay? And use open palm gestures and full arm gestures. They are more convenient. You should avoid aggressive gestures. Just don't do this. And avoid this. I figured that I make this mistake a lot. Hands in pockets, especially, I do this. Hands behind your back, I do this often again. And hands clapped in front of your body. It's a defensive signal again. No need for this. Avoid these type of signals with your hands. And the eye contact is important. Maintain the eye contact. Like a lighthouse beam. Scan the, room, scan the area. Okay, just, okay. Keep everyone, keep contact with the everyone. Treat everyone equal, and do not look out of the window or on your watch. It would be rude, maybe. And do not focus too long on a single individual. Again, it would be maybe disturbing, like always looking at the same person. Okay, look at everyone, but don't focus on a single person. Keep an eye on the audience's body language as well, just as a feedback, because they may not be talking, but giving you some idea or hints about this. Does a point need further clarification, or can you proceed more quickly than anticipated? Again, that those audience's body language can give you some ideas. And the voice. Be aware of the acoustics of the room, and because it may disrupt the sound spread, and speak clearly. Do not shout or whisper. Pause shortly at key points. It adds emphasis. And emphasize right words and control your breathing. I know that this is not easy. Maybe you can record yourself like I do now and listen to it later for practice. The facial gestures and tone of voice should match your message. If you're talking about something important, you should look important as well. Do not rush or talk deliberately slowly, but vary the speed. So talk at different speeds. Why are we doing this? To wake people up, to make, otherwise they may sleep. And do not talk to the screen. I sometimes do this mistake. It's rude. And do not, again, this one is rude. Do not turn your back to the audience and talk at the same time, because they will have trouble in hearing and understanding you as well. And do not read from a script, okay? Cue cards are okay. Short, brief ones are okay, but it is better if you do not read everything from a script, of course. Our students do this often. And let's take a look at finally 7 principles of public speaking. This is from Isa Engelberg. I hope I pronounced it correct. Isa Engelberg's study in 1994. What is the purpose? Ask these questions to yourself and take some quick notes. Why are you speaking? What do you want the audience members to know, think, believe, or do as a result of your presentation? What is the purpose? Are they students? Are they your jury? Most probably, are they the visitors, or are they the funding is coming from the funding institution or something? And people, who is your audience? Who are they? How do the characteristics, skills, opinions, and behaviors of your audience affect your purpose here? And the place you're making the presentation. How can you plan and adapt to the logistics of this place? How can you use visual aids to help you achieve your purpose? So see, these are also important. And the preparation. Where and how can you find good ideas and information for your speech? What are the sources you're going to have? How much and what kind of supporting materials do you need? Would you need some figures or animations, whatever? And the planning. It's important. Is there a natural order to the ideas and information you will use? It's like setting up your tactics before a match. What are the most effective ways to organize your speech in order to adapt it to the purpose, people, and place, etc.? So you make your plans with respect to the total aim here, and this is the most important aim. Why are you doing this presentation? And the personality. How do you become associated with your message in a positive way? Get yourself involved. What can you do to demonstrate your competence, charisma, and character to the audience? So it's like maybe this is the show business part of the presentation, but it is important. And the performance. What form of delivery is best suited for the purpose of your speech? Are you going to use, for example, a PowerPoint slide like I do now, or are you going to use something different, like maybe use some devices? What delivery techniques will make your presentation more effective? And how should you practice yourself to present better and better to reach your purpose or aim, ultimate goal? Okay, this is the end of the session, and we talked about presentations, the slide structures, and we also discussed the principles of public speaking as well together.